Welcome to the War in the Pacific, where it is the 22nd of March, 1942, in the Wirraway versus Encircled play-by-mail campaign. As with the previous video, my voice is aloft, off due to coming off the flu, but we'll get through this together. Only major operations I'm expecting today is anticipating that we can storm Lanchow in northern China. Falcons continue to conduct ground attack. So still has about 15 P-40s, various types operating out of Clark. His Marauder pilots in the South Pacific have clearly been training up in ASW. This time he goes after the airfield at Raipur. bringing in troops to Brunei. Let's see how this goes. Notice I opted for a deliberate attack, not a shock attack, after looking more closely at the math. And the math turned out to be right. And we're reorganized and ready for a deliberate attack at Manila tomorrow. Caracan continues to hold out. Hmm, interesting. Very one-sided artillery duel there. Hey, well, it's pretty quiet. We'll speed through the end of the turn. I can see if anything unusual happened. Nothing that I can see. Okay, so with Lanchow in our hands, let's just check and see. Looks like everything was captured intact. Great. So with Lanchow in our hands, we'll leave the sinning up, basically area region to forces redeploying from Rumchi. There's no rush there. You want to mop this up, but a few weeks or so was fine. Sinning is valuable to Japan in terms of victory points, but otherwise isn't particularly critical. Lanchow, with its oil and refinery and light industry, is definitely something that is quite valuable. So now, with this operation concluded, we'll redeploy our Schwerpunkt, using the German vernacular, our breakthrough units to this bridgehead north of Xi'an and begin the drive on the Chungking Plain. Meanwhile, we're continuing to maneuver around towards Quellen, avoiding the ×3 terrain and working to ×2 terrain. We'll also assemble a division from its separate parts and approach Guan from the opposite perspective or direction and see if that gives us any opportunities. We also need to take Nanning to allow supplies to flow along this main road instead of the secondary roads, is the port uh, essentially 5+ divisions driving on Quellen. Okay, in the Philippines, we know his fighters are operating out of Clark. We're ready to assault Manila this coming turn. Let's just check and see how tired our units are here. Not very. So we'll keep. So part of that decision not to shock attack at Lanchow was this long-term, perhaps inaccurate belief that shock attacking when there's major industry, oil, etc., leads to the higher chance of it being damaged. I don't actually know that that's true, but we're using, and I've always used the same logic: shock attack unless it's really needed, and in this case, uh, we'll continue just to deliberate attack at Tarakan, and we're reinforcing everything. More supplies here at Brunei. Just redeployed the forces that took Miri, and that will wrap up our Eastern Borneo campaign and just leave the final Balikpapan Samarinda area. Carriers are refueled and will continue. I am going to run them up this way, uh, suppressing the airfield at Balikpapan Samarinda, see if we can damage the Dorners, or have a pretty low reliability rating. So we can continue to damage the airfield service. We'll be able to essentially shut them down entirely. I think we can slip the carriers through north of Mindanao, west of Palawan, and not give them a sniff of their redeployment. In the South Pacific, he still hasn't attempted to intervene at all with our redeployment from Port Moresby. Remember, our next target here is Savai. And Wallis Island has now reached level 2, so it can conduct offensive operations. Good. We have troops and reinforcements heading into Calcutta. You can see them hugging the coast here. He has submarines obviously operating in the area, which are pretty well spotted, so we've been able to avoid them. With his control of Ceylon, he can raid our reinforcements into Calcutta and then retreat. So in the long run, holding Ceylon is, so taking Ceylon is the key to managing operations in the Bay of Bengal. Might be obvious, but you're going to keep significant Japanese forces in this area and not expose them to constant danger and attrition. Got to go back into Ceylon, which we will. Okay. nothing really exciting going on in Aleutians. Picking up much in SOPAC. Still redeploying troops for the operation into beginnings of the operation into the Samoa Islands. Kinugasa, which was damaged, is being escorted back to the home islands for repairs. She'll return, obviously, to SOPAC and rejoin her cruiser division when she's repaired. Let's see. Anything in the Band of Sea? We're picking up our paratroopers to finish off all our dot bases, and then eventually we'll take the oil sites here and here when I have engineers and AA units and fighters available to defend them if he decides to raid them with long range bombers. Otherwise, it's just sort of a easy pickings for him. Picking up engineers from Cocos Island, built it up satisfactorily. It's operating Nels. Got a pretty good safety ring here between Diego Garcia and Cocos Island, but he could still slip raids through here. So we need to continue to mop up operations and build up a naval search site somewhere in one of these islands. I haven't settled on which. And with that in hand, we'll feel pretty secure. And then we can take Ceylon. We'll also take Adu Island. Already have units prepping for that invasion. Want to finish all that up uh, within approximately 30 days because our amphibious bonus expires at the end of April. Um, you can absolutely conduct amphibious operations after the amphib bonus. Just takes a lot more ships to get the same offload, particularly of supplies. But still can be done. And we will do it. Okay, well, I look forward to our next chance to talk.